Magic the Gathering just got hosed, and I have to say, I'm actually a big fan of it happening. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. We are here to talk about changes specifically brought in with Core 2020 that have hosed Magic. Hosers have returned. Take off, hoser. You get what I'm saying? Some of you may not if you're not old school. Actually, crazy. Looking at the camera here, I just noticed. You can see this side of the green screen so much smoother than this side. I'm working on the issues with the green screen, so we're going to have the whole thing all smooth and we'll be able to do green screen shenanigans, which will be fantastic. But talking about shenanigans, we're going to talk about hosers. These are cards that are specifically primed to mess with other colors in Magic the Gathering. For those of you who don't know, and I'm guessing there's not too many people who don't know this, but anyways, on the back of the card, you will see that there are the 5 colors of Magic. And how it works is, you see how white's here? Its enemies are across from it. So black and red are its enemies. Green's enemies are blue and black, and so on. And this is transmitted on the back of the card. But I really like how back in the day, especially, core sets would really kind of hammer this concept home for you. It's like, hey, are you playing red? Well, then your enemies are white and blue. These are the colors that tend to have an advantage against you, but also that you get to screw with as well. And that's where hosers come into play. Now, they weren't really as big a part of Magic core sets for a while. They kind of like shoved them off to the side, didn't really make them as prominent, but I have noticed that hosers are coming raging back into Magic, and I absolutely love it. So to make sure we're all on the same page, I'm going to put an example up right now of one of the hosers from Core 2020. We'll talk about some of the past hosers as well from back when I started Magic. So we're going to start out by taking a look at Fry. It's a pretty straightforward color hoser, and that is 1 red, 1 colorless. It's an instant. This spell can't be countered. Obviously, that's targeted towards blue spells mostly. There are a handful of white spells that could technically counter something like this, but we all know that the majority of these counter spells are going to be straight blue. Blue is the color of counter, so it transmits to you right there, well, this is an anti-blue card to start with. And then when you continue to read it, it says Fry deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker that's white or blue. So right there, it's establishing that red has a grudge against white or blue. You're playing white or blue, will get wrecked. On top of that, I really love that this also targets planeswalkers. Wizards has made a change where more and more cards no longer just target creatures specifically, they also rope in planeswalkers. And considering the power level and especially the prevalence of planeswalkers in the current standard, it's fantastic to see this. Hell, for those of you who watched yesterday's video where we had, come on, oh no, stuff's falling, it wasn't worth reaching for it, where we talked about good old Mr. Teferi and the problem that he causes. Well, Fry is an excellent answer to handle him. Get on out of here, Teferi. Get fried, son. Get fried. So these kind of cards that are anti-particular enemy colors are a great way to teach beginners what colors are set against each other and what specifically they can do. Like, this is a fantastic way to demonstrate that red hates white and blue cards, and also that red handles that through burn. So this information will get transmitted in different ways. The flavor text on this one says, I'm afraid your dinner got a little overcooked. The joke, it's like, I'm an innkeeper. You're an innkeeper? Really? This quote's from an innkeeper? And you have mages blowing up chickens or something? I don't know. The artwork's fantastic though. I like the artwork where you can see that all the ground around it is kind of like out in the outer range is all like just dirty or whatever. In the middle, you have blasted bits of probably just the tiny little vaporized remains of this bird that got absolutely wrecked. So Fry demonstrates that red dislikes white and blue and shows their dislike through burn and the ability to say, no, you can't counter my stuff. So that combines very well to give an anti-white and blue feel, even more anti-blue than anti-white. And you can actually see the concept and contrast it with Noxious Grasp. I really like it. It's got the same kind of concept in terms of It is a black and a colorless instead of a red and a colorless, so we're still looking at a 2 casting cost here. It's an instant. You destroy target creature or planeswalker that's green or white, and you gain a life. So this shows that black's enemies are green and white, and unlike red, instead of using burn to handle its problems, it just destroys them outright. And that's what, like, red is known for burn, black is known for destroying creatures. So again, we have something that ties very properly into the flavor thematically and mechanically of the color that it's representing. The flavor text says, the bog doesn't give a stinking bubble about your title, wealth, or piety. It's just hungry. And that's from Byris Backwoods Guide. I like this flavor text better, in all honesty. Just like the bog doesn't care about you, it just wants to eat you. And that's black through and through. And the artwork shows a centaur. It looks, yeah, that's a centaur knight. So you would think of like something, honestly, Celestian, right? If you have any kind of familiarity with Ravnica, you might think, oh, this is a Celestian. The creature being destroyed in it is represented by like white-green. And in all honesty, I should have mentioned on Fry as well, a lot of flying and bird creatures would fall into white or blue. So it's actually representing the creature types that are in that color as well. Thematically, it's really on point. So you have a bog reaching up its just tentacles of filth and just tearing this centaur down. And you know in a few moments, that centaur is just going to either be pulled apart or engulfed by the bog and just meet its demise. So this, again, is a fantastic way to illustrate what colors this color is against. So black is the enemy of green and white, and here's how it goes about doing business. Now, we used to have some really, really vicious color screws in terms of, like, you would look back at, like, red had, for example, flash fires, which was 4 mana to destroy all planes. Now, admittedly, it only affected one color. The color screws back in the day tended to mostly, at the beginning of Magic, only affect one color, but they tended to be egregiously strong. Like Flash Fires was busted, just busted. All your planes gone like that. Tsunami, same thing. Green going, nice islands you used to have there. Whoop, let me just send in a nice big tidal wave and all your islands are gone. So we used to have that kind of color screw, or just vicious stuff like Karma, where white's like, oh yeah, you're playing black, that's nice. Take a damage for each swamp you have every upkeep. Karma, my God, I mean, it feels rough to destroy somebody's lands, but Karma was just inescapable because black has no enchantment destruction. So you would just put down this enchantment and go, squirm until you're destroyed. Just absolutely, absolutely dreadful. Now, on top of these instant style creature destroying spells that we've created as color hosers, they've actually gone back and brought back something that we haven't had in Magic for a while, protection. You may have noticed in Dominaria that there was a mirrored pair of creatures that basically each had hexproof from each other. So you had hexproof from black, hexproof from white. You can see these guys on the screen right now. They basically are protected against particular colors and have a bonus, right? But hexproof is kind of clunky compared to protection. Admittedly, it doesn't feel as good. Protection, to be fair, is very clunky as well. I mean, these cards are hearkening back to the day of White Knight and Black Knight. And I really liked White Knight and Black Knight back in the day because they really felt to me like they evoked the flavor of both colors and they just felt perfect. It was 2 mana for a 2/2, and both of them either had protection from white or protection from black. They were both first strikers, so they were knights charging in on their horse. And the idea of the white knight just kind of all filth and everything just slides off his armor because of his purity and nothing can be done to him. And then you have the black knight where the flavor text is amazing, where it's basically like, you don't ask why fields burn and other things like that. Don't ask why I fight. Absolutely amazing. Just this, like, I destroy for the sake of destruction. And they felt like beautiful mirror images of each other. So that's what these Dominarian knights were supposed to kind of be like an image of and homage to, but they didn't really hit the same level. Honestly, protection is way, way better. And let's just show one of my absolute favorite cards from Core 2020, because I'm a big green daddy and I love my big green cards. So we've got Shifting Ceratops. 2 green, 2 colorless for a 5/4. This spell can't be countered. Guess what color this guy hates on? You nailed it. Blue. This is one where he specifically only cares about hating on blue. This card has nothing to do with hating on black. So this is a one color hoser that feels more like the old school ones. But I like the fact that it's got can't be countered, on top of that protection from blue. Now, protection is admittedly ability that does mess with some people. So it says this creature can't be blocked, targeted, dealt damage, enchanted, or equipped by anything blue. We used to use the acronym DET, damage, enchanted, blocked, or targeted, right? That used to be the way you'd think of it. Now there's an extra E, so I guess it's DET. But anyhow, the way that protection kind of messes with people is that, let's say you have a protection from white creature. It can't take damage from white sources. So if you had a white spell that did 3 damage to all creatures in play, then the protection would actually protect the creature from that damage. But if you play a card like Wrath of God that wipes out all creatures on the board, global effects like that do destroy creatures with protection. And I remember that was hard to wrap your head around at the beginning. There were a lot of arguments where people were like, no. My Black Knight does not get destroyed by Wrath of God. It has protection from white. So I understand to a degree why they decided to say, okay, we're not going to use protection anymore. This doesn't make any sense. It confuses newbies. But in all honesty, protection's an amazing ability. Protection from blue on this dinosaur makes me genuinely happy. The fact that he actually has 1 green to gain reach, trample, or haste until end of turn. And understand, you can activate this ability multiple times. You can give him reach, trample, and haste all in the same turn if you so desire. Although reach and haste are not abilities that have any kind of synergy, because haste is something you only care about on your turn when it comes to creatures attacking, since he doesn't have a tap ability, and reach is something you only care about for blocking. So either way, it's like those abilities don't necessarily nestle together properly. But this card overall really gives you the good idea of, hey, wait a minute, green doesn't like blue. You can't counter my stuff. Protection from blue. I remember when Scragnoth first came out, and I was like, what? No, get out of here! Because I played blue at the time. And Scragnoth was like the beginning of the get wrecked blue, protection from blue kind of crazy nonsense. So this guy gives me Scragnoth vibes. Obviously, we've come a long way, because Shifting Ceratops is a fantastic card. And the artwork is great. I absolutely love how colorful this dinosaur is. And I think it's cool how they've decided to show him kind of charging through water in a symbolic sort of way of like water. You can't stop him. Doesn't matter. You play in Blue Sun, well, get wrecked. He's going to pick you up on them horns, flip you into the air, and then bite down on you with that parrot-looking beak. Yum, 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 deliciousness. I like that the water, he's charging through it, and you have all the green nature around it. Dude, this is a card I would have loved back in the day and love now. We also have another really interesting one on the opposite side of the coin. And this is, we're going to take a look at it. Since we've talked about a lot of anti-blue stuff, let's talk about a blue card that's anti-red. Again, this is one that's specifically geared towards screwing over red. 1 blue, 1 colorless for a 1/1 flyer, protection from red, and sacrifice Cerulean Drake, counter target spell that targets you. So red is going to try and burn things, right? They're going to be like, oh, hey, I'm going to burn that. Oh, wait, I can't because of protection from red. I'm going to burn you. Oh, wait, you can sacrifice your Drake to counter it. This guy gives me visions of Spike-tailed Drake to a degree, where you get a nice, cheap little Drake you can put on the board. And oh, by the way, I can just sack him for free to mess up your game. Now, yes, the Drake that we're talking about here, the Drake does not, it doesn't care about the spell targeting you specifically. It's just counter a spell by making your opponent pay 1 more. But this Cerulean Drake is very heavily anti-red, and I've actually seen comments with people going, oh, Goblin Chain Whirl is just going to take this guy out. Oh, no, he's not, because protection says all damage that would be dealt to him is reduced to 0. So even if you have a way that does blanket damage to all creatures, the Drake just goes, nah, son, nah. And I really like the very cool aspect of this Drake. You can see him flying in front of a big glacier. The flavor text is fun as well. Dragons avoid the bright colors of its wings. You can see this thing just nipping and taking bite out of dragons as they can't do anything back to it because of its mystical protection. Its wings do look very funky. I imagine that in the sunlight they would be scintillating and intense. But either way, this card does a great job of transmitting anti-red flavor with the pro-red. And on top of that, well, you can't be targeting me with the spells. I'm going to counter it, you know? There you go. I mean, it's pretty solid overall what you get for 2 mana. These color hosers are strong, my friends. Like I am a big fan of these color hosers because they tend to be strong cards for particular matchups, and more importantly, They really evoke a particular flavor. And on top of that, I'm genuinely happy to see protection return. I didn't like it when they shelved it and made it more of a, like, instead of it being an evergreen thing where they used it frequently, they just kind of shunted it to the back and then never really brought it up very often at all. But it's a fun ability to have. So it is welcome to me. It's welcome that they brought it back to Magic. Now, overall, that's just what I wanted to talk about. That covers everything that I have to say today about the color hosers. Now, I haven't shown you every hoser because it's not about going through them all systematically. I just wanted to talk about what it was like back in the day with the color hosers that were insanely strong. The balance that they have now seems better while they're strong, but they're not overwhelming karma level, like the game is just done. You are completely done level. You can still do something about it. And we're also in the time right now with the Ravnica block, with all the multicolor and stuff, that these straight color hosers are in some ways are going to be more useful because there's more cards they affect, but in other ways, people are playing a lot more multicolored decks. So it's, unless you're playing something like mono red, you're going to have multiple colors to draw on. So even if they have cards that hose you, they'll only be hosing a part of your deck. So for me, it's a big fat thumbs up. Welcome home, hosers. I mean, this is Canada, right? It's where you find the hosers, baby. So let us roll the golden scroll. These are the people who have my back on Patreon or through the delicious, lovely channel memberships. Actually, while I'm on the subject, there is a new channel member that I am welcoming aboard here. Just going to take me one moment while I just keep moving my lips and making sounds so that I can wait for the name to come up. There we go. Jeremy Taylor. Thanks for joining the channel membership, brother. Genuinely appreciate the support. He said something really nice, actually, when he did join up. He said, I actually canceled my cable so I could support the people who are actually entertaining me. And I thought that was really nice. So thanks again for joining up. You'll see your name there at the end of this beautiful scroll. My thanks to all my patrons, all my channel members. Thanks for helping me live my dreams. To everyone I say, glad you're here. And for now, I'm history, baby.